Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us. As a reminder, we're recording this meeting and we will post the meeting video and the materials to our project website. This is our January 8th, 2026 Filtration Project Neighbor Information Meeting. And my name is Bonita Oswald. I coordinate the communications for the Bull Run Filtration Project. And on our agenda today, we have our Deputy Program Director, Michelle Cheek, and she's going to provide an overview of the project. Next up will be Jonathan, and he's our Pipeline Construction Manager. And after that, we will get an update from our Facility Construction Manager, Tom Paul, and we will then have some time for questions. And with that, I will turn it over to Michelle.
Thanks, Bonita. And unfortunately, I have a dog that's barking upstairs, so hopefully you can't hear her.
No, we can't hear her. We're good.
Okay. Anyways, thank you. Good evening and Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Our last meeting seems like it was ages ago, and it was well before the holidays. And I think about that time we were just getting ramped up for college football, and now we're in the middle of college football playoffs. I personally am from the South and went to an SEC school, so I am rooting for Ole Miss, who's playing right now. Anyways, I'll kick us off with a few updates on my usual project overview and then provide some brief other updates before turning it over to our other speakers to talk about activities on the individual projects. In terms of some brief updates, our land use reapproval by Multnomah County was appealed to the Land Use Board of Appeals. The LUBA oral arguments were held on December 16th, and now we're waiting for LUBA's decision, which is anticipated on January 20th. So that's not too far away. Work on the project continues during the appeals process. Typical work hours are Monday through Saturday to help maintain our schedule and progress on the project. The filtration and pipelines projects are not the only water projects happening in the area. The city of Sandy is also working on a project to install a new pipeline along Bluff Road between Proctor and Hudson. So you will see some construction activity along Bluff. And they are also planning a new pump station at the filtration facility site as well. And then as always, Bonita and Aubrey continue to do a fantastic job with outreach and communication to the facility neighbors and local community and businesses. Next slide. The filtration facility itself is located off Carpenter Lane to the east of Cottrell, and water will be conveyed to and from the new facility through about 7 miles of new seismically resilient pipelines. To the east of the facility, a new unfiltered water pipeline will convey water from our existing pipelines in Lusted Road up to the southeast corner of the facility. And then to the north and west of the site, a new filtered water pipeline will convey treated water from the clear well to a new finished water intertie that's located on the south side of Lusted Road. And then from that finished water intertie, water will continue through some new pipes that then connect to our existing pipelines that go into Portland. We'll also be constructing a local distribution main and Cottrell Road, which will provide filtered water to some of our existing customers in the area. And then access to the filtration facility site during construction and our ultimate operations will be east off Cottrell Road onto Carpenter Lane, entering the site from the north. There will also be an emergency access to Bluff Road and Clackamas County to the south. Next slide. Aubrey, thank you. We recently created some new renderings of the filtration facility site. One of them is here on this slide, and this rendering is an overview of the facility site looking southwest from the main entry off of Carpenter Lane. And Aubrey, if you can do your awesome job of moving the pointer around as I kind of walk people through the site there. But as you come into the site off of Carpenter Lane, you'll see the administration building there on the right. And then to the left of the administration building is the maintenance building. And then as you go between those buildings and into the facility site. To the right is our chemical storage building where all of the treatment chemicals for the filtration facility are stored. And then across the road from the chemical building is our solids handling facility. So all of the sediments that are collected as part of the treatment process will get handled there and eventually trucked off site. And then to the right, which I guess is to the south of the chemical building, is kind of the heart of the treatment process. Raw water will come into the facility through the raw water intake structure, and from there, water will flow through the flocculation and sedimentation basins, and that's where the sediments that I mentioned earlier will settle out, and then the settled water will then go into the filters, and then filtered water will then be conveyed to a contact basin in Clearwell, which is located underground, and it's actually out of this rendering, but it's a large underground storage tank at the facility that's located below ground. So I think that's the end of my slides, and that's the quick overview of the facility site. And with that, I will turn it over to Jonathan.
Turn your speaker on,
Jonathan,
Jonathan.
you're on. Yeah, John.
Well, I clicked the mute, but I guess I didn't click it hard enough.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't. Do we want to start on this slide? I think that you guys all went over this, but I'll give you the overview, I guess, of the whole pipeline system. So we have a raw water system, as you were talking about, on the filtration side where it comes in, and that's the bottom right corner. From there, we'll have at the end of the projects, all three conduits feeding in, going through from there through our two tunnels up through our shaft, and then as you saw, as one of the pictures, we'll bring that into the filtration site. From there, on the other end of that picture she was showing you from the clear well, we'll have our main feed coming out of there, which goes along the Dodge Park. And then from there, we go to our finished water interties you see in that picture. And from there, it will split into the three conduits that will later feed all of the Portland. And we'll run along Lusted and then up through Pipeline and Oxbow. Currently, I guess you guys have seen, we're probably 60, 70% done on Dodge, 90% done on Farm Field, and now we're working the Lusted on the Lusted Road. For traffic control, right now, as of next week, we're going to get that intersection paved where we had to go around the corner from Altman to Lusted, and then we'll be asphalting that. And then at that point, Altman will be opened back up. And from there till May, mid-May, June, we'll be on Lusted. So that's going to kind of maintain until through then, as well as the lower Lusted area where we're doing our connections work. That's going to maintain till about mid-May. And at that point, we'll pull off lower Lusted, and same with upper Lusted, and we'll move over to the Altman and the Oxbow areas. I'll probably go to the next slide. Yep. This kind of cool picture. This is the tunneling we're going to be doing. Right now, we're doing the first of the two tunnels. We've excavated 108 feet of about the 1,200 feet per tunnel. So that's going to carry on through basically 2026. So we do have some soil off-hauls, but they're very small. It's maybe one truck a day for that. So yeah, we're 108 feet at about 1,200 for the first tunnel. For the shaft is 235 feet total when we're done. We're sitting at 100, right around 105 feet. That's going to carry on through June. I know we hear a lot about the blasting. We were thinking about maybe slapping blasting in January, as it says in the slide, but it's not probably going to happen until end of February, early May. And we blast through that red. The intent is to blast through that red area there, but the soil right now is a little harder, so that's the only reason we're looking at maybe starting earlier. As far as, yeah, so that's about all I can say on that right now. That's all we know. What's the next slide? Yep. Okay, this is the other thing that's going to be happening. We have what we call an M2BM It's another tunnel boring machine. And we're starting as on the bottom, I guess the bottom left of that picture, you see the dash lines going into the clear well. That will start. We're loading the machine starting now, and we're going to be carrying that on until first couple weeks of February, and we should have the machine through. And that carries a pipe when it goes, so it's just the pipe pushes along. So we will be doing that and be done, like I said, early February, first couple weeks. We should be done with that. And we'll go to the next slide. Upcoming pipe work. So this is kind of the big picture. So May, June. So May and June, we're going to be wrapping up. We're basically going to roll over and we're going to start where the stop sign from the Oxbow connection, and we cross the road in June, July. And then from there, we'll go all the way up Altman. And then as well as you see there, yeah, thank you. We'll go all the way up Altman and connect to the pipe on that intersection that we did. The other thing that will be happening is once we get off our Lusted Road work, our rules allow us to go back to Dodge. We have a little bit of Dodge on both ends to do, and those will start July on the we'll call the west side. It's just the last half of the last section of that west side. And then in August, we'll roll over and we'll be doing we're almost all the way done with the east side. It's just the last pieces, and then we'll turn and go. And we basically head to where that MTBM we just showed launches from. And we'll be pretty off the road pretty quick on the east side for that work. Yeah, everything else we'll do there. We'll do most of it behind the barriers, our vaults, and all other things can kind of happen without impacting traffic. The summer of 27 is when we'll be doing the Cottrell Road. So that will happen after kind of everything else will be the last thing to do. We should be pretty much off every other road after that. That'll be the only thing going on. And that's mostly, it's probably 70% of that road will be a boring type work. And then on the northeast side will be open cut. So we'll have a little bit of work in the road for a section of it. And I think that's that on my slide. Yep. Any questions, or do you do those afterwards?
Good. Thanks, Jonathan. Good evening, everyone. My name's Tom Paul. I'm the project manager at the facilities. So we're doing ongoing concrete placement. And if you look in the foreground, you'll see what looks like a checkerboard. And that is actually the bottom foundation for the clear well that Michelle was explaining. And then slightly to the north is where the chlorination building will go. And then you work on through the flocculation, sedimentation, and what we call the rapid mix facility. We're constantly installing electrical duct banks. So 99% of all the power in this facility will be underground through conduits, a concrete encased. Now we got some good news. Permanent power or permanent construction power will be going in the week of the 21st or the 19th, I should say. There will be a disruption of traffic flow on Carpenter, but it's by PG&E. So I think that the team here can help the neighbors understand more about what it's going to be. It'll be one day, and it may be a half a lane shutdown as they string wire. Now, the good news, when we go to permanent utility power, we're going to get rid of the generators. So my goal here is to reduce as much noise as I can. So the generators, a couple will be on site in the event we have a power outage because we still have to pump water, but that's going to be a big deal. That'll be a huge first for us. And then we're continuing. Michelle showed you all the other buildings that are out there, the solids handling building, the chemical building. It's funny because I see them as numbers. I call them building 70 and building 651, but we're pouring those constantly. We're working. Good idea. So we've accomplished 514,000 man hours. We've had one recordable injury, and it was a minor one. I don't know if people understand recordability, but a single stitch in the finger is considered recordable or a prescription. So we've had phenomenal luck. So everybody's leaving the site in the same condition they come in. Traffic. Let's talk about traffic control because I see that just popped up. So we have reduced traffic on Carpenter Lane by busing and van pooling. So you'll notice there's a school bus that comes in the morning. There's 3 times, 6, 6:30, and 7 o'clock. Then there's one that the same thing leaving. So what we're doing is we're getting as many craft on the buses and maintaining the van pools. So we're really trying to reduce the amount of traffic on the roadway. And that's really what's going on at the facilities. It's not as sexy as what Jonathan talks about with all the pipe going in the ground, but we're going to end up pouring about 57,000 yards of concrete. We'll work a couple million man hours, and we'll get water that is what needs to be for the public. So thank you.
The Tammy's off. That's on camera. So did you have a question, Tammy? For Tom?
I have questions. I'm sure everybody does. How do you work the Q&A section here, Benita? Do you take names, numbers?
No, well, just start with you. I mean,
right,
you came on
perfect.
camera first, so you're lucky number one.
All right, here we go. So what are you guys doing about the water running off from your facility into Johnson Creek? Whose property is it going across and why?
It's part of the discharge permit that was negotiated between the city and the state. We're doing exactly what is sorry.
Where can we find that permit? Because we're very, we're deep into the land use, Tom, and we understand what the permits, and your land use application said you will not discharge any water into Johnson Creek, but yet there's two 18-inch pipes with 6 hoses each coming out of them right into Johnson Creek.
I can't answer that question because I don't have the details, but I will find them for you. I will work with Benita and Michelle, and we will get you the information you need, Tammy. I'm not trying to ignore you, but I just don't have it at my fingertips.
No,
but
that's
I'm taking
cool.
notes.
You know what, Tom? Hey, that's totally fine. That's status quo for you guys. So you don't know whose property it's going over, and have you or have you not been served with a cease and desist order for discharging water into Johnson Creek across neighbors' properties?
We have not been served a cease and desist order. The city may have been, but
Portland, are you sure? Do you want to check with your lawyers before you answer that?
Sure.
Okay, that's probably a good idea, Tom. That's a great idea. Second question, what are you guys doing about the speeding on Carpenter Lane, and I'm assuming everywhere else around the area? Because you have had 2 massive traffic accidents. One of your haul truck drivers ran a semi-truck off the road, which was witnessed by other people. And this other one of your truck drivers coming in from out of the area, bringing pipe into the facility, coming on an unauthorized haul route, which clearly you guys are not communicating with your vendors. So I know it was a vendor. It wasn't a Portland Water Bureau per se contractor, but it was a vendor. And he hit another car head on. We saw the aftermath. It was a Subaru. Lucky nobody's been killed yet. And I do say yet because we see these trucks out there, Tom. We call in, we let the sheriff's office know, we let the commissioner's office know, we let you guys know what is being done about the speed. If they're speeding on Carpenter Lane, just that last stretch getting into the facility, then they're definitely speeding everywhere else.
So let me take one thing at a time. You asked me about 10 questions, so I can speak about speeding. So we've had 3 individuals who we've caught speeding. They are no longer allowed on the job, and their company is under strict orders that if they are caught again, we will use another vendor. So speeders are off limits. If we catch them, we get rid of them.
Would you like to come sit on the porch with me, Tom, and we'll clock some people going by every morning?
I would love to.
Guarantee you. Awesome.
You find them, Tammy, you find them, I'll get rid of them. As fast as you find them, I'll get rid of them. I have no problem doing it. Let's work together. Okay, absolutely, great. 100%. The truck traffic, and I think Jonathan can help. Some of the trucks, we are getting off 84 at exit 17. We are staging them there, and we're escorting them into the site. So we're trying to eliminate any of the public and truck interface. And Jonathan, you can speak to that, but we're now doing escorts.
Yeah. So all truck drivers were given the correct haul routes, and the ones you mentioned ignore the haul routes. They ignored the routes. And so what we did is we now don't give them the address of the site or the haul. We give them the haul routes or to the exit he spoke of. They do not get the job site address. They are moved to a place on Highway 84, and then our people pick them up and drive them through the appropriate.
We escort them in.
And the routes.
And when did that
have people going?
As of what date?
That is of the last month or 2. I'd have to get the exact date from that, but as soon as we had some issues, we immediately implemented that. And it was a little bit of implementation process because all vendors were notified to remove our address and some of them still put our address on there. So it took about 3-4 weeks to get everybody to follow the directions.
Okay. I know there's some other questions in the audience too, and while they're getting their questions ready and cameras turned on, I will also ask the security hut down at the end of Carpenter Lane on your guys' property. Do you guys realize this is totally useless? Your security does not see anybody until they're already all the way at the end. So we get looky-loos all day and all night, off days, holidays, just checking out the facility. We ask them what they're doing. They're just, oh, we're just checking things out. The signs, local residents only, doesn't really do much of anything. So what can we do about the security shack being so far removed? Like they're not even watching the traffic that's coming in. In fact, I don't know. I drove onto your site the other day, and the only time I got stopped was when I got out without a hard hat on.
Yeah.
So yay for safety.
Let me break it down into pieces. I can only do so much on Carpenter Road. That's a public road, and I can't preclude anybody from driving on it. We can discourage it. We can put signs that say resident only, but none of us on this call have the ability to monitor exactly who goes down Carpenter Road. One of the things I talked about with the team actually this morning, because of a recent truck issue that Benita and I were working through, is to put a camera down at the stop sign at where Carpenter starts, so we can monitor who's hitting the site, so we can go down there and stop it. Otherwise, we're going to put a security gate down at the end of Carpenter, and that's going to be even worse because we're going to back up traffic. So, Tammy, we're working on it. We're doing the best we can, but we're going to get people that are going to be lucky-loos, and I can't. That's the public. I have no right to stop them. I hate to tell you that.
I mean, I get it, but they also, Tom, I just want to let you know, you came into this project a little late to the party than the rest of us. So originally, y'all told us you were not even going to use Carpenter Lane. So you can probably understand why we're a little bit upset, because it's disrupted our lives and it's totally ruined our neighborhood. And y'all said you were not going to use Carpenter Lane. You were going to come in from Dodge Park. So during the good neighbor agreement section, that was what was, we were sold that bill of goods. So I would say I apologize, but I really don't. I'm a little bit upset about all the traffic on Carpenter. But it would be really nice to control your people. You know who are the worst offenders at speeding down the road? Portland Water Bureau trucks. I mean, I have plenty of. I'm going to
leave that one alone.
I won't. I got plenty of video and pictures, and we have asked repeatedly for there to be a third. There needs to be a third driver feedback sign, a speed feedback sign on that road, because right now, by the time they pass the first one, then they just start traveling fast down the rest of the road. When they leave the facility, they're already going slow. By the time they hit that first sign, they pass it. Then they're flying by the Macy's, and then they're flying by Myers and McKenzie's. So your speed signs are totally placed where they're not even working. So that's something that I'd really like to work with you guys on, and put them in places that make sense and places that we can have cameras monitor them, because I will let you know that every single one of your vendors, your drivers, your contractors, and your trades coming on to the site, they're on video.
They're on we have a video too. So we do see them and monitor them. And
fantastic.
And I would tell you
we have them with the speed signs.
I would tell you that every single day we have what we call a plan of the day meeting. We bring all the subcontractors and trade folks in, and I speak at every one of them. And the first thing I talk about is the safety of speed on Carpenter. So if you find people that are speeding, we will look at, we can't tolerate it as a team, because Tammy, you're part of our team, whether you like it or not. we cannot tolerate that behavior, and we will change people that if they want to speed, they'll speed some other job. Let them go to downtown Portland and speed. They're not going to speed on Carpenter Lane.
I love it. It seems like they only slow down once they see that I'm out there watching.
Well, I'll slow down and wave next time.
Thank you.
And Tammy,
I will.
I will touch the Portland Water Bureau employees. So if you do have somebody that, if you got that on video, please send that to me. They don't want to get an email from me.
I've chased a couple of them down and yelled at them. But that was back when Tom was on site, and he handled all of that for us. So
yeah, and I think something to mention, and I know when Tom was on the job, maybe mention this, is just the fact that it's so unsettling to live on a dead end street where you shouldn't have any traffic except for the couple of houses that are here, and there is so much traffic. And I will say that they do a really good job of slowing down when I'm trying to get out of the driveway to go to work. So I've had to like kind of adjust. A couple people will stop. There are a couple, if I time it right, there sometimes is a truck that will stop and let me out. But sometimes I've sat there for quite some time just to get out of my driveway. But I think that would be the thing, is that it's just unsettling. And sometimes it feels like we have to be the bad guys and the police for the speeding. And quite frankly, I don't want to make anyone mad because I have to live out here. And like you said, we all have to get along. But I guess I just am looking for a little common courtesy as they're going by.
It's a constant
besides when I'm
theme.
trying to get out of my driveway.
But yeah, the speeding is a constant theme. It's constantly happening every day that I'm out there, and I don't live on site, but every day that I am out there monitoring, or that somebody from our other team is out there monitoring, they are constantly speeding. They come around. You guys have turned Carpenter Lane into a super highway. It was never that wide. The corner was never that generous and forgiving for speed. People actually had to basically stop and turn the corner onto a small country dead-end road. And you guys have doubled the size of Carpenter Lane, so they just fly around the corner now. So now there's no slowing down. I probably got one of your school bus drivers fired because they were doing 38 miles an hour down that road. That's ridiculous. So I get it, that's in the past, but I guarantee you if I were out there tomorrow morning, we would catch at least 15 more. And if anybody ever wants to come sit on the porch and have coffee, and we'll clock them with the radar gun and watch the speed sign, we'll have a good time.
Thanks, Tammy. One thing I might just take you up on that, so keep an eye out for my text. But I know that you had also put into the chat something about the school buses being empty, and so Tom, did you have any comments about that?
Well, so the school buses come in empty at the end of the day because they're going to get loaded by craft leaving. We do bring 3 school buses in. They run about 20 to 25 to 30 people a shift. And then we've reduced our van pool a little bit because we have some folks leave. We have 9 van pools come in, and there's about 8. So we're busing about 110 craft. So that's 110 less trips, but now you got to add the buses in, but it's significantly less traffic. We reduced it by 68% on Carpenter Lane. And those come from, Tammy, the same counting trip counters that we have. We have a stat that runs those numbers. So we've reduced it. November, when we started busing, we reduced the traffic significantly. That's
good to hear. Where are the trip counters?
I don't know. I believe they're part of the sign, but I get a report that shows me the trip count. I don't know exactly how it's counted, but Benita, you might be able to help, or I can find out from our folks where exactly it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where they're at, but maybe Michelle, do you know?
I'm sorry, Benita, what was the question?
Where the trip counters are on Carpenter Lane, the corner of Cottrell.
Yeah, they're at the corner of Cottrell and Carpenter.
Okay. So we have a constant chart. So we are monitoring that in increments of an hour, and then we average it based on the hourly rate. So we hit a peak, and that's when we went to busing. And then in March, we're going to go to full-time busing. So all craft will be bussed in, and we will only let management folks drive in. And,
okay, well.
And Tammy, if you look, you'll see that some people have a placard hanging from their rearview mirror. That's a system I just started. And so only those people will be allowed into the project.
Fantastic.
So
I've been asking for a placard system for a while. Are there numbers on the placard?
There are numbers on the placard. They're on the backside. You really can't see them, but there are numbers on the placard.
Okay. We asked a long time ago for numbers on the dump trucks when we were trying to identify who was constantly speeding up and down, because your dump trucks are the worst offenders because they're just so big and heavy. And again, it's just unsettling. I mean, you got to think about this street. We had 6 homes on the street. I lived there my entire life. I've never seen this kind of traffic. It's just ridiculous. And again, to be sold a bill of goods that we didn't speak up in the beginning because we thought y'all were coming in from Dodge Park. So pulled the wool over our eyes to say, oh, well, now we need a variance if we're going to do that. So we're just going to use Carpenter. And then it was too late, right? The permits were already being issued, or at least applied for. So that's a big thing. The traffic on Carpenter is pretty huge for our community. And I know there's a couple of us from Carpenter Lane on the call, and I think I see Mike Dawson there, who can speak to the rest of the impact throughout the rest of the community. The other thing is, what are we doing about all the water pooling? Since y'all built up Carpenter Lane so much, we now have these giant lakes of standing water in front of homes and on the corner of the roads. The last big rainstorm, the first atmospheric river, it just washed out Dodge Park. The second one, y'all filled the ditch with gravel, which I don't know whose engineering genius that was. That was a terrible idea, because then it just washed the gravel onto the road because you filled up the ditch and the water had nowhere to go. So what are we doing about all the standing water and runoff that you've created with all this extra impervious surface?
As the issues are brought to our attention, we are out repairing them and making repairs to the roadway. So if there's areas where we have ponding, then we can find a way to raise that area to get the water to drain. We'd be happy to talk through it. Show me where you have an issue and we will work on it.
Fantastic. Drive down Carpenter Lane on any rainy day.
Yeah.
I drive down Carpenter Lane all the time on rainy days.
So, and Tom, I would love to chat, and we can chat later on this, but because it's in front of our split rail where the right of way is. And then there is actually a river of water coming in through, when we have these heavy rains, coming in through our driveway. And then I know you've seen the new lake. I haven't given it a name yet, but it's at the corner of Carpenter and Cottrell. Maybe RNH Lake. I don't know, something.
Oh no, we can do better than that.
I
think
guess
let's
so.
Let's raffle off the naming of the lake.
But that never used to be a problem. All of the standing water, and it seems that the south side of Carpenter Lane sits lower than the north side now. I mean, I don't miss the potholes, except for the fact that they were good speed bumps. But when we had the old road, we didn't have any of this, the water pooled in the potholes. We didn't have the streams coming in, and it's causing some damage. So at some point, I would love to connect with you, Tom, and see what we can do.
Fantastic. Let's talk about it, Christy. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. I see Pat has her hand up.
Hi. All right. I would like to reiterate everything that I've heard so far. For some reason, I jumped on the call late, thinking that it was starting later. But so if this has been addressed before, I apologize. But I'd like to know why it sounds like we've got Hoover Dam running all hours of the night. I can hear it from my place. Why are those generators so loud?
Can I tell you the good news first, Pat?
Sure.
So we're going to have permanent power. PG&E is going to string a power line across Carpenter on the 21st. And on the 23rd, we will go to permanent utility power, and the generators will be turned off.
This month.
That's the easiest way of saying it. We will have generators on site. They will not be running. In the event we have a power outage, there's something called an automatic transfer switch. They will turn the generators on so we don't flood the place. But otherwise, we will not have the generators turned on any longer.
Okay. It's incredibly loud. And as you may have figured out, in rural communities, everything echoes out here.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
So much for the good neighbor, we're going to not bother your community garbage. yeah, the traffic, thank you very much for bringing in the vans and the buses. It has been incredibly busy. Um, it's so difficult to even explain to people the amount of traffic that goes up and down here. So, but we know for a fact because we have a neighbor counting. So it's pretty clear to us. It's not just all in our minds. And it's true. As if they see you standing out there, and if I pick up my phone to act like I'm videotaping, all of a sudden the brakes go on. But this is not our job. The last thing we want to do is spend our time standing out at the road and um, harassing drivers. So I think you guys really need to keep tabs on that because it's very annoying and to the point now that the state has implemented that additional $500 fine for anything over, what is it, 11 or 12 miles an hour over the speed limit. It's pretty easy to get to 25 miles an hour on this road. So I can assure you that we will start taking pictures of license plates and see how long it takes for them to get their act together.
Peg, can I?
Sorry.
So you were talking about truck traffic, and I can only sympathize with what you're going through. But we do have a warehouse now. We do have a warehouse. We are diverting deliveries to the warehouse until we need the product. So we're trying to be much more methodical, and that's not bring every part and piece to the job site. So we have an off-site storage facility, and only when it's required that we bring the material to the site that we do that. So the total number of counts at the end of the day will be the same, but we're not trying to have these huge, massive influx. So we have a massive warehouse full of parts and pieces right now, and we're only shuffling things as we need them.
Okay.
So we're coming up with different ideas on how to do what we can to reduce traffic.
Great. I appreciate that. Thank you. The concrete trucks and the dump trucks are still of issue. And I'm not sure how much you can store that off site, but was there an issue with concrete that was poured that didn't pass inspection? Is that an accurate?
Or that needs to be removed and redone?
Sure. There's some non-conforming concrete that we're removing and replacing.
Okay.
It's not a finite, concrete's not a finite thing. Sometimes there are disruptions in how the concrete is made and you can't see it until you place it. And after you place it, you realize that it didn't reach strength. And at that time we remove it because we're there to put a quality product in for the Water Bureau. And so, yes, that occurs.
Okay. So
I don't like it, but that's the reality of what we do.
Okay. And will that cause delay in the project?
Nope.
It will not?
We're working diligently to continue to make the schedule better and better each time.
Okay. So is there any impending pause that is being discussed or planned?
I don't have any pause coming up.
I think that's a question for Michelle.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to come off mute. Pat, are you thinking about another pause because of land use, or we don't? I mean, we're not planning to pause any work on the construction site. Of course, if LUBA were to remand the decision back to the county like they did last time, there would be another pause in construction.
Okay.
But we're not planning one.
Okay, that's the only reason at this time that
correct
a pause would be implemented. Okay. Just curious. That was really the main things that I wanted to. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we should clarify too. I don't know if the question is whether that's paused or whether we would extend this project. Is that what I just want to make sure that we're answering the question that you are
Oh, those were
asking.
two separate. Yeah, those were two separate things. I had heard about the concrete having difficulty and having to be pulled out. I didn't know the extent of the size of that particular area that needed to be removed and redone. So without knowing that, the question was how long that was going to affect, the timeline.
Yeah. So just the one spot Michelle showed you earlier called the Clearwell. There's 138 concrete placements in there in the bottom of that structure. So if we have one, it's actually what looks like a roadway going down in there, just right there. That there's an outlet structure, and that outlet structure box had an issue, and we removed it. Other than that, everything else has been compliant, so we haven't taken anything else out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Tom, have you talked to sorry, it hasn't happened in the last couple of days, although I'm back at work, so I don't have to be here. But the concrete truck drivers, when they come down, they love to pull their wheels. I don't even know what it means. It just is that beeping, and they do it right in front of our house. And
is it maybe the J brake?
Yeah,
Does it sound like a braking noise?
It's not a Jake brake. It's they're pulling up their rear wheels as they're going down the road.
Where they can do that once they get
against
into the
law. They cannot do that on an ODOT road, but they're just doing it anyways because they can. Because nobody's telling them not to.
Well, and I did talk to Skip, and he was going to mention it. Of course, I noticed it over the holidays.
Christy, I'll talk to Cal Portland about making sure they leave their tires down until they enter the site.
Okay.
That's easy enough to do. We can do that.
And then I just have one more question. I know the buses do help, although I don't love them either, but it has cut down on the traffic. Also, my blackout blinds drapes that I got for Christmas also help because I just shut those in the morning. But in March, I think you said you were going to require everyone to be bussed in except for management.
Right. So all craft will be bussed in.
Okay. And do you have a number of buses, or are you going to, will those buses be filled?
Same amount of buses. They'll be full.
Okay. So there'll just be 3, because I know how many people can get on a bus in the school teacher.
Right.
There's a lot of people.
It's 65 or so is what we can get on a bus safely.
Okay. So we'll just still have about 3
buses because there's
okay,
because we also have, and you'll notice the vans that come in, there's 10 vans, and then those van pools are pulling people from surrounding areas, so we're trying to reduce the amount of truck traffic or vehicle traffic period. So those vans hold 11 people each.
Okay. Well, and I did notice a difference when the van started. Again, it is nice. It's still not what we thought was going to happen, but I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to have like 9 buses down.
No, I'm hoping not to have 9, but if I have 9 buses, I am not doing my job. So, we'll work diligently on that. So,
and
if for some reason we go from 3 to 4 because we've got a glut of people, we'll work with Michelle and Benita and let you know well in advance of that happening.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? Tammy, go ahead.
Thank you. So on that, I just want to make sure that we readdress for the last about year, we've been told we'd get a 3rd speed sign, speed feedback sign. So if we could get that out there and work with you guys on where that's placed so they all make sense. Because right now, like I said, the 2 speed signs don't make a ton of sense. One needs to be moved back, one needs to be brought forward, and a 3rd one could be super helpful. That would be great. Especially as you guys start to ramp up with concrete traffic, I think would be really helpful. So I'd like to make sure that that's just noted and it's on the record, right? Recorded, all that good stuff. And then the last thing, I have a media contact asking me, what are you guys willing to do to reduce the cost of this to your ratepayers? So your your facility design for the actual administrative offices, you're going to have, I think it's 22 to 23 people on site per day max. I think 11 at any one time. And then the original plans, there were things like a yoga room and like, why is it not a scaled down lunchroom, administrative office? Like, that's it. Like, why is this big fancy administrative building? My media contact is asking me, why isn't that where you guys can save money? If you really are truly about bringing this whole water system and it's all about clean water, why make this extra building? Isn't that the one place that you guys could save some money and cut that cost down to where you're not having, maybe you save a few $1,000,000. That's money back in your ratepayers' pockets, because I have not seen an estimate on how this is going to affect your ratepayers for a very long time. And everybody's very curious. And I know we haven't come up with that. I would ask you what the current cost is, but I know you can't answer that. So we won't even go there unless you want to fill us in. But where are you guys willing to, I'm sorry, not you guys per se, but where is Portland Water Bureau willing to scale back to make this more affordable and palatable to your ratepayers?
Michelle, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. In regards to the administrative building specifically, well, actually, the project, we went through a couple of rounds of value engineering to reduce, try to find ways to reduce the cost of this project. The administrative building and the size of that building and the amenities in it were part of that value engineering. So it has been scaled back as part of that process already. And, the building that is there now will provide the office space and space that our operators need to be able to manage this facility on a daily basis.
Walk us through that final building, Michelle. Like when it's all said and done, what does that administrative building look like out there? How many offices, how many rooms? I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, there's a lunchroom, a break room, and that's it. Maybe a changing room, locker room kind of thing. But what are we talking about? One office, 3 offices? Like how many rooms? What square footage? Walk us through that.
I don't know the answers to that off the top of my head.
But it is all permitted correctly. Like it's in the permit, right? It's in the plan.
It is on it is on the Multnomah County site, and I can put a link to that in the chat of where the building layout is.
And it hasn't changed since you guys first applied for the permits for Multnomah County, 3-4 years ago?
No.
Okay. Okay, so then you're saying that there's nowhere that money can be saved for your ratepayers.
Like I said, we went through a couple of value engineering exercises to reduce the cost of this project. At this point, now that we're under construction, trying to reduce the size of buildings or these facilities isn't feasible. And also the facility is sized and designed to provide the capacity and treatment processes that are needed.
Okay, it'll just be interesting to see how that administrative building unfolds, because again, there's just operators out on site, how big of an administrative building do they need? And we know every square foot counts.
And I know I'm not a construction professional, but maybe Tom might be able to chime in on this about. Yeah, but I knew there was some significant change. I mean, changing something can cost a significant amount of money.
Tammy, I think part of you're seeing it just as an admin building, and you're asking questions. So yes, there is a men and women's changing room. There's an ability for the operator to take a shower. They could have things on them, and they need to be cleaned before they leave. There is a lunchroom. And I don't know the number of offices, but the biggest part of it is, I'm going to use a word called SCADA. And this entire facility is fully automated, and it runs and it gives feedback, as Michelle said, back to the operator so they can do their job. So there's the majority of that building is the control room where programmable logic controllers and UPSs, uninterrupted power supplies, and the SCADA system resides. And that is something that is needed to operate, as Michelle just said, to operate the facility at the level it needs to operate to provide the water that Portland Water Bureau is committed to giving the public. So some of those things are
Understood.
just giving. Yep.
We also
no
have
more
a water quality lab as part of the
Right.
facility.
Yep. I forgot about the lab too. Yeah. That's 11A.
Yeah. That's good, because I know that one of the big things of you guys releasing your variance was because it was too expensive to continue testing at the source at Bull Run. So I'm glad we're putting a water quality lab in the administrative office. Sorry, a little tongue in cheek there. However, all I want to know mainly, so there's no more yoga room, correct?
There was never a yoga room. There is an
Not that I
exercise
know of.
room.
Oh, but
Yep.
there was. It was on the plans. I don't know how far back
There's
you
an
guys can look in
exercise
the
room.
plans, but yeah, there is still an
There's an
exercise room.
It's
There
not
is an
a,
exercise room.
it's not a yoga room,
Okay,
but there's an
why?
exercise room.
Okay,
Yeah.
exercise room. Why is there an exercise room?
Our operators will be at this facility for long hours, operating the facility and need
More
to be
than
able,
10?
Possibly depending on what sort of issues
12.
they might
I
be
mean,
dealing with today.
I'm
And
a
we
flight
also have
attendant, so
exercise facilities at all of our other city facilities as well.
okay. So that's perfect. That's fine. My media contact just asked me why the exercise room. Who's there to lead exercise, or is it self-driven? Is it going to be like a Peloton room? Or this is just really interesting because again, I work 12-hour days sometimes, 13-hour days even, and when there's delays, I don't know if you've ever been on an airplane in a time where maybe you were stuck somewhere. I'm also stuck. Nobody offers me an exercise room. So this is just good to know. When this project was initially 350 million and now you guys are probably well over 3 billion, it's interesting to know that there's an exercise room being planned into this space. That's great. I'm glad that y'all are taking care of wellness for somebody that might be working a 10 or 12-hour shift. Okay. Just checking. Like I said, it was on the plans, and so I'm sorry if I called it a yoga room. It's exercise. I think it was a wellness room in the original plans. Nope, no debate needed.
Right.
Just, yeah, exercise room it is.
Any other questions?
Yes, Pat, crickets.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to what Pat had mentioned about this awful sidewalk, ADA sidewalk, or the ADA, I don't even, trail, whatever. I know that is like one of the things that's being followed through a permit or something through Multnomah County, but it is so awful. And when the street sweeper goes through and cleans the road, everything from the street sweeper gets put into the path and then it gets stuck in there. Half the time those things fall over in the wind. Are we done with that? Can we remove it from our view?
I'm going to turn that over to Michelle, but I believe that was part of our conditions of approval to have that pedestrian path there through the life of the project.
Correct. That is a requirement of our land use conditions of approval.
So then
who do we appeal that to? Because Carpenter Lane never had an ADA path before. You guys have changed Carpenter Lane. So who do we appeal that to? Because honestly, Michelle, that's BS that you guys had to have that there to make your project. You're not supposed to disrupt the community, right? We're asking you to be good neighbors, right? You said you would be, correct? So who do we appeal that ADA path to? Because it's just nonsense. Nobody uses it because it's always full of leaves and debris.
I think the best point of contact would probably be Multnomah County, either land use. Multnomah County land use.
Gross. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know we've heard your complaints about it. It's not pretty. People don't use it. There wasn't the one there before, and I can certainly understand your frustration with it. And
we're going to keep using the middle of the road like we always have.
Right.
Yeah.
It's totally unfunctionable. It's unfunctionable. If the purpose of it is to protect the pedestrian, what little wooden pathway is going to protect a pedestrian from a dump truck full of rock or concrete.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
Going 35 miles an hour.
And I will say one of the saddest moments that I've had out here recently is when Pat's grandson had his remote control car out like he should have been able to do on his dead end road, and he was in that walkway trying to run his remote control car. It was
in an area this big.
It was sad. It was sad. Is that path then going to be, because that's kind of part of the road, I mean, I feel like, but then we were told it's going to be ripped out at the end of this project?
Yeah, will our road ever go back to the way it was?
It will not be narrower, unfortunately, at the end.
That is a complete and total lie than what we were told.
Yeah.
Because I specifically, on multiple occasions, have pressed that pathway be removed when this project is done. And I was promised that it was going to be removed. It is only a condition of the construction.
Pat, I'm pretty sure that you're correct. I'm pretty sure the pathway is not a permanent.
She's saying the width is permanent.
A permanent thing, but the width of the road will not change. Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, having it there implies that the road is wider than it truly is. And so it needs to be removed so that when people are driving the road, they recognize where the road width is once those beautiful little markers come down.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other questions, comments? There's a lot of people here, so I want to make sure that people.
How do I get in touch with Bonita? Tom, how do I get in touch with you to talk about the standing water thing?
Oh, you're on mute, Tom.
Oh. Okay.
Michelle, this is a new protocol to me and Bonita. I don't have a problem sharing phone numbers, but I don't also want to be the person that gets everybody's unhappy phone call every single night either.
I didn't want to ask you
like the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can work. I mean, you can contact me, Christy, and we'll figure out
Bonita,
the time.
I'll be happy to walk it with you, Christy. Absolutely be happy to walk it.
Okay, that's fine. Bonita, I'll just check and I'll touch base with you and get it, or if you want to text it to me, you could even text it to me. That's fine too.
Okay.
So,
that sounds good.
Either way. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also just want to say that a quick disclaimer that the participation on tonight's call is in no way a reflection of the level of either acceptance, tolerance, or disgust by the neighborhood and the residents. I think people are really done and they're just disgusted and frustrated, and they don't feel like their voice is ever going to be heard. So please don't stop doing these meetings, even though we're not always all on them. Know that although they don't help per se, it's a nice time for us to vent and air our concerns. Again, this all stems back to, if you look at all of our concerns, none of these would be here had you just come in off of Dodge Park Boulevard, applied for the variance that you needed from the road department, which would have been super easy and not taken up any more time than you already were spending. All of this would be a done deal. So here we are. Just want to remind you of that, good neighbors. So please, again, don't take this participation in this call as a representation of truly our feeling in the community. We are out there watching. People are instructed to, be taking pictures and videos and sharing it with the commissioner, with the, their county and city level officials, as well as the sheriff's office. So let your project people know, your vendors, your drivers, everybody needs to understand that if they're traveling down Carpenter Lane and they don't live there, their speed limit is 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Tammy, the acknowledgement that, just because folks aren't here doesn't mean they don't care. And I do appreciate you taking your time to come out tonight, you and Christy and Pat and all the other folks on the line tonight to come and listen to what we have to say. And we're here that's why we're here, is to listen to your concerns and complaints and see what we can do about them.
And we are mad, but we appreciate you listening to them nonetheless. So
I understand. I would be too if I was in your position.
Thank you.
All right. I know we're at time, but I do want to make sure that everybody that wanted to say something has been able to say something, or put something in the chat if you have questions or comments. All righty, then and so we do have our contact information on the slide that you see there. So the Bull Run Project's email is the best email to contact us. I know some of you have my email too, and that works fine too. But sometimes I like to take a vacation because I need to. But it's people that if you email the Bull Run projects, Aubrey's also monitoring that, and a few other people. So more opportunity for people to answer your questions. And we'll continue to have these meetings. We have this particular kind of meeting, the online meetings, every 3 months. So our next meeting will be on April 9th. And then, but in between that time, each month we have a coffee with the contractor, which is an in-person meeting. And we don't have a presentation for that meeting, but it's an opportunity to come in and just talk with the contractors directly about some of your concerns and questions. So with that, I hope you all have a great evening, and we look forward to talking with you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.